Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Moving the Chains with Ashmere on NBS Sports. I want to thank everybody for coming back and tuning in. I know last week's football weekend was pretty crazy, so there's a lot of content to go over, a lot of great games. I don't know about everybody else, but here in the Bay Area, it's fairly warm. It was about 95 degrees today at the end of September. I don't know if that's usual or like climate change, but whatever, that's a different topic. Anyway, so let's just jump right into the NCAA. And first off, I'll start off with the Auburn and Texas A&M game. I believe Bo Nix was like bred to be a quarterback. I mean, he makes the game look so easy. He was throwing passes into the end zone fairly easy. And I feel like, I'm not saying this is like a good comparison, but I just feel like watching him perform with his offense is similar to watching Patrick Mahomes compete with his offense, and it's only because he has a great offense. I feel like it takes a good offense to make a quarterback perform very well, and so the way that he had put on a show, it was really great. And Texas A&M, I'm going to be honest, at the end of the third quarter, I kind of stopped watching the game. The score was like 21-6, so you kind of feel bad for only 2 field goals by Texas A&M, and they had missed the first one on their first possession, so it was kind of brutal for me to keep watching, especially because I'm not rooting for Auburn, because duh. And so I feel like for Texas A&M to come back and score 14 points after that, in the fourth quarter essentially, that was really great. The offense was performing a lot better. Their defense picked up, but in the end, Auburn had won 28-20, and they're now undefeated. That's really good for them. Next game I want to talk about is the Oregon Ducks and Stanford, of course. So the Stanford game was 89 degrees, more or less. It was a really hot day there on Saturday, and when I walked into the stadium, it appeared to be fairly empty, but it was simply because everybody was hiding under the shade behind the bleachers, and so I had seats right in the middle of the sun, and it was pretty tough. I pushed through it because I wanted to support my team, and there was a lot of red in the stands, but it was a hot game for sure, so I can't imagine how the players were feeling. But Justin Herbert did great. He completed 259 yards. This was a great victory for the Ducks simply because we had lost last year, and it's always hard to watch the Ducks play Stanford, especially because when I was back in college, there was one epic game that we lost by a field goal, and I couldn't handle it. And now we're going to move on to some NFL discussions. First of all, let's just go over how dope Lamar Jackson was during the Chiefs game. I mean, he literally nailed the offense. If you compare first down completion, fourth down completion, possession times, Baltimore was ahead in all of those. So I feel like they're going to do great this season. He passed it about like 6 different receivers. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is very hard to beat. It's clear to everybody right now. Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes are owning the NFL essentially. And so for Lamar to come into Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium, and perform the way he did, and to lose only by 5 points in Kansas City, I feel like that's a great accomplishment. Lamar Jackson is probably my favorite quarterback right now. I think the way that he moves in and out of the pocket, the way that he gives off this energy on the field, he's just like such a fun player to watch, and that's just how people feel about Mahomes too. I feel just as excited watching him, except when you go to the Raider game and you watch him, score 20 unanswered points in the third quarter, and like it's like his best passing game, and you're really pissed because you're a Raider fan. Those are the times I'm not rooting for him, but other than that, I mean, it was a really good game. I hope for the rest of the season the Ravens perform that way. I can only expect them to do that well. Next week they play the Browns with like this flip-flop of a Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr. chemistry that doesn't exist kind of thing going on. I mean, like, I don't know if I'm alone there, but I definitely think the Ravens are going to win. So that'll be, I don't know if it'll be fun or not. I don't know. I just feel like there's been a lot of hype around the Browns, and now they're kind of just performing at like an average rate, and they're not excelling with this amazing offense that everybody keeps talking about. But I also don't feel like they're utilizing the tools that they have very well. I mean, like, Nick Chubb's like never running. It's like they can't choose between what plays they want to use, and then once they call a play, it's kind of confusing on the field, and there's not a lot of play action happening. So I think the Ravens defense are just going to run all over him. Let's just keep it frank. So let's talk about how the Niners are 3-0 right now. I mean, it felt pretty iffy watching that game in the beginning. They pulled through on a tough performance against the Steelers at home, but they are 3-0 against since like 1998. Their next game is against the Browns. It's a Monday night game, and I think they could pull through. I really do, but I also don't know about what's going to happen with the Browns. Like I mentioned before, it's just their transition game is not that great. And for the Niners to act as faulty as they did, I feel like that game's a little scattered. But I feel like one of the top things to talk about are all of these star rookie quarterbacks that shine through this week. I mean, Kyle Allen for the Panthers had 4 touchdowns and ended up winning their first game, right? It's their first game? First game of the season. Sure. Against Kyler Murray, who I'm always rooting for. I mean, you got to root for the rookie quarterback unless it's Jameis Winston, because you know Marcus was number 2 in that round, and I'm obviously rooting for Marcus, which was a poor performance on the Jags team. I don't even want to talk about it. But the guy was sacked 9 times, so it's like you can't be mad at Marcus when he doesn't have the O-line to hold on. But anyways, regardless, that was a great performance. Daniel Jones did great. He had 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, for them to just perform the way that they did and bring in their team's first win of the season, it's electric. They both moved around in the pocket. They moved around on the field. They threw these awesome deep passes. I mean, for your nickname to be Danny Dimes, I feel like there's a lot of good energy coming through the NFL now, and it sucks that it took the veterans to be injured or replaced or something for these like crazy headlines to come through to see these people shine. But I feel like it's important. I mean, that's why they drafted them in the end, the way that they performed in their college times. And so it was an exciting week 3 to say the least. But let's just wrap up with some fantasy. Even though the Bucks lost, your girl won with 45 points from Mike Evans. Thank you. That was pretty dope. I thought I was going to lose because I had what's his name? Scantling.
Marcus Valdes-Scantling.
Yeah, he was sitting on my bench with 20 points, and I had Tyler Boyd in for like 10, and the Bengals played like shit, so I was really pissed because, like I low-key said on my first video, I root for Andy Dalton like on the low just because it's like I give him the same veteran credibility even though he hasn't really done a lot. So whatever. I was really mad at myself. And then all of a sudden Mike Evans comes through and he's scoring touchdown after touchdown. He's getting down the field. It was dope. And then I also had Alvin Kamara coming through with a nice 37 fantasy points, I believe. I mean, that was dope too to see the Saints beat Seattle because I'm not a Seattle fan. For next week, I don't know who to say for my fantasy. I don't want to say that I'm like loving my lineup right now because I had OJ Howard and he had 0 points last week, and that made me so irritated even though I still won. I don't know how, but I picked up Disley from Seattle after that just because I was like, maybe I should fluctuate my tight ends a little bit. I mean, you got to think long term here. But now I'm first in the fantasy league, and so I'm pretty happy since, like I mentioned before, this is like my first league with people that aren't automated or random. These are like people I know in my social circle, and so yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to week 4, but I said that about week 3, and I actually really enjoyed week 3 compared to 1 and 2, and now I feel like the teams are getting a better rhythm with one another. They're going to notice how to play. They've got these new rookies, like I mentioned, except the Redskins. I don't know what they're going to do. I was really sad about yesterday's game. I was rooting for Keenum, and I mean, we know Chicago's defense is the best one in the league, but it's also just like, dude, hold the ball better, protect yourself, kind of get out of the pocket, I don't know, figure it out. Looks like it's a quarterback run league. That's what it's turning into right now, and so I feel like that's exciting to see, old and young, everybody just competing that sense, you know, providing more versatility for themselves, versatility for the position, and just kind of spreading the field a little bit. You know, we used to see the Peytons and of course Brady, but Brady doesn't really need to leave the pocket because his O-line is so strong. But people like that, you always saw them kind of spread out, and now it's kind of faded because everybody's getting a little older. It's a little bit more difficult, and then they're sacked. So it's cool to see the rookies coming in and just doing what they do. But yeah, this is kind of my wrap up for week 3. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to Moving the Chains, Nuts and Bolts Sports, and check out our website. I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'll see you next Tuesday.